everybody, and welcome to challenge number 8, preparing for a crop class or event. And for those of you who tried to tune in this morning and watch live, we don't know what happened with live stream and our volume connection, so we have video but no volume. So we're doing this as a recorded version, so thanks for bearing with us and joining us later for the recorded version of this event. So getting ready for a crop class or event is the title of this challenge, but basically we've been preparing not just to go to an event, but to actually craft in a more organized, more productive, more fun, and less frustrating way for the last 7 weeks. And that's all going to come together this week when you try to use the things that you've organized to prepare yourself for a crop class or event. So the first thing we need to do, though, is talk about this week's winner, who is, let me put on my glasses, Jennifer Larson Gilman. Congratulations, Jennifer. Her progress report says, continued working on my organized only space. It's so motivating. Yay! Unmounted some stamps and got stuck trying to figure out if I needed to replace the foam or if I could just use them as they are. Red rubber will work. Insert an internet maze here. So lots of searching going on. Ugh. At least most of my memorabilia is already sorted by kid. Oh, and I did have a way cool hour going through memorabilia. Ended up with an entire trash can full of old school stuff I was saving and came across a couple of gems, cards my oldest daughter had written to her siblings, stuff like that. So that is a nice sort of byproduct of going through that memorabilia, is that you're able to purge out the things that don't really matter, and much like Jennifer, find some really cool, really fun things to hang on to and share. So congratulations, Jennifer Larson Gilman, you're our winner this week, and Karen will reach out to you with your gift certificate. One other question that has come up in previous challenges is, has anyone ever finished the challenge? And it's important to know and to keep in mind that your craft room didn't turn into a mess in 7 weeks, or didn't get completely disorganized or piled up with stuff in 7 weeks. It took a period of time, and it's going to take a period of time to straighten it all out. The important thing, though, is that you just stay the course of using your 4-section system and being consistent where you're putting things away. And slowly but surely, everything is going to find its way into a home that's easy for you to find mentally and then physically as well. We will do another challenge in the fall. We're going to take a few weeks off here and get our new video equipment all set up. We'll take a few weeks off and then we'll get started. Please come back and join us and get remotivated and work further through your supplies with us this fall. Invite friends. It's always better to have somebody else doing the challenge with you because it's more motivating when you go public, as we talked about in the very beginning. So don't feel like if you didn't get everything done that you didn't succeed. You succeeded just by getting started, and we're here to work with you the rest of the year after our little break here. So doing trade shows, consumer shows, the conventions, all of those types of things. I meet lots and lots of people who have come from somewhere to that convention or event and plan on cropping, taking classes, hauling all their supplies with them, right? And I've done it for years, and I've seen the same thing for years. The people who bring the least stay the most focused and get the most done. The people who bring the most spend most of their time digging and searching through all of their supplies, trying to find the things that they want to use because they came without focus, right? So keep that in mind. Try to be focused. That's our main goal. And it's no different than what we've been doing every week, right? We focused in on paper. We focused in on embellishments. We put things together in systems that are easy for us to retrieve those products, again, mentally and in the physical world as well. When you go to an event, the very first thing that you want to do is gather, which is always our starting thing, but the first thing you want to gather before an event is gather information, right? Because whenever you go to an event, there are certain things that are already going to be available to you at that event. So you want to talk to the event promoter, and I know at the bigger shows, like Scrapbook Expo and Creating Keepsakes, they have crickets, they have spellbinders, dies, they have embossing folders, they have all these tools available for you to use for free when you're at the crop. So there's no reason for you to haul all of that stuff. And if you know what's there, then you can prepare better to go to those events by not hauling all of your stuff and just knowing that you have it there. So first thing you want to know is what's being provided by the crop host, whether that's a big event like CK, or you're just going to a girlfriend's house and you know she has a Cricut, you know she has a Spellbinders, you can make a call and find out if she has a Xyron or any of those types of things. What's being provided before you decide what you're going to take with you? So that's the first thing. What's the crop host providing? Second thing, what is being provided or what's being brought by your friends, the other people in your group, right? So there's no reason for you to bring the same equipment that somebody else is bringing. So getting that email group together or that chat going on Facebook, what are you bringing, what are you bringing, so everybody knows what someone else is bringing and what's available to be used at the event. And then finally, there are a certain number of tools that can be left at home so you can finish up projects when you get home. And we talked a little bit about this before when we were talking about things like embossing powders and heat tools, right? That you could finish, you don't necessarily have to haul all of your stamping things with you. If you're using that catalog system and you have those representations with you when you go to an event, then you can easily just put a little sticky note, my favorite crafting tool, on the page or the card that you're working on and say finish this up with stamp number 12, whatever it is, and then you don't have to haul all your inks, all your embossing folders, your heat tool, any of those kind of things with you when you go to the event if you're going to use that particular stamp. All right, so finish what can be left at home, and then finally, how many hours will you actually be cropping? Will you actually be creating things? Because when you go to an event, not only is there the cropping that's involved, but a lot of times there's shopping, there's dining or eating, and sometimes there's even sleeping involved, right? So if you're going to an overnight event and you think, oh, I'm going to crop for 48 straight hours, you want to figure in, maybe I'm going to take a nap, maybe not, maybe you're going to power through, but you're definitely going to eat. Hopefully you're going to shower at some point in those 48 hours that you're hanging out with your friends. So be realistic about how much time you've actually got to be creating. Part of the joy of going to an event is the social time, right? So when you're talking, you're not as productive as when you're just zeroed in and focused. So you want to take that into account as well, that you're going to be there, you're going to enjoy some social time, and that's going to cut back on your crafting time. All right, so step number 2 is decide what you're going to actually do, right? Are you going to work on scrapbook pages? Are you going to make your Christmas cards? There's 2 totally different packing methods or ways to pack or things to pack, whether you're working on scrapbooking pages or you're working on a defined project. So obviously, if you're working on a defined project, hey, I'm going to make thank you cards at this event, or I'm going to make all my Christmas cards at this event, or I'm going to make this one mini album at this event. It's a lot easier to stay focused and bring less products to work on those particular things. So decide, are you project-based? Are you going as general scrapbooking? And those are the first decisions that you need to make. And from there, you'll be able to pull the right things. But think about, again, how much time do I have? Is this event better for a project-based event, or do I want to work on general scrapbooking things? So a little bit of thought going into it is going to make you more productive when you're there, provided you even want to be productive, right? I know people who go to crops and events, and mostly they go for the social activity. So if you're one of those people, you want to pack just enough to keep your hands busy while you're chatting, but not be crazy, okay? So keep all that in mind. Know yourself. All right, so once you've decided project or scrapbooking, next step is going to be to gather your supplies together, right? What are you going to need to take with you? Now, this is where it really comes in that all the work you've done really is going to shine and make it easy for you to plan for that event, okay? So you don't want to have to dig and hunt for things. So you've got your projects decided on. You're going to be able to pull, if you're working on sports, your sports section, the pieces of the rainbow that you want to work with. All of those things are going to go easily with you. Now, there is another sort of a different thought too. If you're going to an event where you're cropping and going to classes, then you got to think differently. I need my class kit, the things I'm going to take with me to class, my class tool bag, and then I need my crop stuff separately, right? So if you can pack those 2 things up so that you're able to take the things to the crop and then you take them to class and then bring them back for the crop, you're going to be set up even better when you actually get to the event and do that shopping. Okay, next step. So you've decided what's provided at the crop, what your friends are bringing, what you're responsible for bringing with your friends, and what you're going to work on. So now it's time to pull those things out and pack them up. So once you've pulled out your supplies that you're going to take with you, what you want to do is pack in reverse. Think about how you're going to set yourself up at the crop, right? So you want the things that you're going to pull out and put on your table first to be on the top. So some people take little standing shelves. Some people take shelves that go at the end. Some people take things that drape over their chair. So think about those things. What do I need to pull out first? So if you lay everything out, just like you're going on a trip, right? If you're like me and you lay everything out on your bed by day, right? So you have your outfits by day with the little jewelry that goes with them, or shoes or whatever. So you got everything sort of laid out by day. And then you can pack in reverse so that you're using the stuff that you're going to wear first is coming off first and rotating into the dirty side of the suitcase as you wear through it. You're going to do the same thing when you're packing for a crop. You're going to lay everything out, whether it's on a table or your bed or whatever space you've got, and then you're going to pack in reverse. What things do I need to pull out first? What things can I pull out last? And then you're going to set yourself up that way, and it makes it really, really simple. All right, so one of the things that's really helpful, I think, too, is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about tools, about these tools, what I use and what we have available, and why I recommend certain things for certain activities. But the paper handler, which is one of our paper storage boxes, this is a great tool to keep one of them empty in your craft room, because it's a perfect like consolidating ground for little bits and pieces that you pull out, and then you can drop it right into your tote, right? So keep that in mind, that you might, some sort of empty paper storage box is going to be a helpful tool to have available for you. And I'm going to go through all of these things in just a minute. All right, so the other thing that's really, I think is really helpful, is if you create for yourself some sort of crop packing list, right? So I have one right here. Now, I would make your first crop packing list just on paper, and then you can use it. So mine has out and back. So when I'm packing, I don't want to forget anything, right? I want to make sure I have all the things that I know I'm going to use laid out on my table. So whether it's my scrap rack, my scissor set, crocodile, X-Acto knife, all the tools that I use all the time, I'm going to lay those all out, and I'm going to check them off as I put them into my tote. So I might be taking a ditto type tote like this. Right now, this is a tote that I'm going to take with me, that I'm going to load everything up in, that's also going to be available to go to classes. So the things I might need for class are going to end up in there. The things I want access to all the time are going to end up in my ditto bag right here, right? But I also have on the opposite side, and it's just headed back. So this is just to make sure I pack up everything. A lot of times when you're at a crop or an event, there's a mess everywhere. Some of it's your mess, some of it's somebody else's mess. Sometimes you have things that are similar to other people's things, or the same as other people's things, or you lend things out. So by making yourself a list of what you're taking, you can check it off when you load it up, and that's going to ensure that you have everything you need, and you can check it back off when you're loading up to leave, and that makes sure you get everything back that was borrowed or loaned. And one of the things that I would recommend with this that I didn't think about until I was at the last event was that if you left some space on it, if you did loan something out, we borrowed at the last crop event we went to, we borrowed large round circle punches from some people at another table, right? Well, if I was the person lending those out, I might jot down a little note here that I had lent something out, right? So that I would know to get it back also. Not that anybody's going to try and steal your craft supplies, but just remembering as you pack up, if you're leaving before them or they're leaving before you or whatever, at least you have some point of reference for that. So just making a little note on your out and back list. And that's going to be really helpful. And the other thing about it is, if you end up with stuff on your list that you never actually use, you can cross it off this list, keep it with your bag, and then know for the next time, hey, I don't really use that when I'm at crops. I don't need to haul it with me. Or if there's things that you wish you had packed and you didn't, you can write those down on the list as well, and then the next time you go out, print your list and add those things, and then you'll remember that you have them. So it sounds kind of silly, right? Like I can remember to bring my scissors. Well, you can remember to bring your scissors, but in the midst of packing everything up, what if you forgot your ATG? What if it was almost out of adhesive and you have extra adhesive at home, but you didn't throw in your adhesive refill, right? And there's no adhesive for sale where you are, and then you're kind of in a quandary and got a little problem when you're there. So doing the list is going to make it so much easier not to miss anything, right? We have a little mantra at the office this year, and it's called live the list, love the list. Right? So we are list maniacs around here. Everybody has a list. Okay, so what do I do when I go to a cropper class? This is the general question that I get most of the time. Totally depends what kind of event I'm going to. I really try to stay project focused, right? So if I'm going to go to an event and I'm going to work on our trip to Moab, I'm only going to take my Moab pictures, which you saw in my little Monica bag. I meant to bring them back out again, but Karen showed those to you when we were doing, when she did the photo thing, right? So my little Monica bag, is it on the shelf in there by any chance, Sue? It's got all those bright colors of paper in it. So it's, I don't know where it was. Sue's going to look for it in the other room, in the design room. One of the problems, just to share with you, that's really challenging for me is that because I'm constantly in motion with my things, teaching classes here, maybe doing a presentation on HSN, going to a convention, I'm constantly pulling my things together and then dispersing them back out. And one of the other things I have to do is make a mess with all my stuff and put it all back together all the time. So it's kind of a challenge, but it really pays off for me that I've got my inks numbered or my chalks numbered, and I have my drawers labeled and all that kind of stuff. But I do spend a lot of time in motion with my things. So I'm going to work on Moab. I'm going to take just my Moab pictures. I'm not worried about the fact that I'm going to get them all done and I'm not going to have anything else to do, because I know about how much I can get done at any given event within any given time period, right? So, so I'm taking what I can get done plus a little bit more. So when I talk about that Moab event, I know that there are 12 double page layouts that I'm doing with that event. So there's no way I'm going to get those done in an evening crop. So I'm going to have plenty to do. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take for an evening, I'm only going to take a travel pack. So this piece right here. Oops. Now, so an evening event, I've got all kinds of stuff spread out here. Sorry for the big mess. The travel pack's going to allow me to take up to three ring sections worth of stuff, right? So I'm just going to pull it off my scrap rack, whatever it is. So when I'm talking about that Moab, I actually have that kind of preset here with each thing that we did. So I'm going to pop that in there. And then I'm going to take another binder or two with rainbow stuff on it. And I'm going to have everything I need to work through that event. I'm going to take I've got some storage here for tools and pens as well. But I am going to take, ooh, this is a new travel pack, the black one with the pink interior. And it does have a big pocket on the outside. So if I'm taking a bigger paper trimmer than I want to carry in here, I'm going to be able to take that. But I'm going to load up this bag with all my basic tools, scissors, all of those things, because I'm going to be able to carry it into the event like this, open it up like this, and then put it at the edge of my desk. It would be facing me this way. But now I can pull all my tools in and out while I'm working on my workspace, and everything's kind of spread out and nice and even for me, right? So just depending on the kinds of things that you're going to take, whether you're going to pull them out of, if you're using the little drawer system like Stash and Store, load up a couple of our easy to organize bags to take those matching. So I have greens and browns, inks in here, the colors I'm going to work with for Moab. I can just drop that right into my bag as well with all my other goodies, and I'm ready to go. So I'm able to pull things together quickly for just an evening event, the colors that I need, the basic tools that I need, and I'm out the door pretty simply between a travel pack and a tool tote, right? Now, if I'm going to a bigger event or a weekend event, of course I'm going to want to take more things with me to that big event, to that weekend event. So at that point, I might take my whole scrap rack. Now, it doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, I guess. If you're using a scrap rack, it's super simple to pack it up. Let me do a little rearrange here. So you can see I've got my scrap rack just sitting on top of my rolling tote here. And this is just one of those collapsible crates from Office Depot. So they come flat with 2 wheels on the back. They're just plastic and they pop together. But it works really great as a supply tote. I can't get my binder up. Oh. So basically, if I'm going to a weekend event or for a week-long event and I'm going to take a lot of stuff, I'm just going to take all my spinders off my scrap rack. I'm going to stand them up on the inside of the tote. I'm going to fold my scrap rack totally flat. I'm going to put that in as well. I may have a few of the easy to organize bags. Maybe I have one with my inks or chalks or pens or ribbons or whatever I'm going to take. And those are going to pop in there as well depending on the space. As I mentioned, if I'm taking a bunch of paper, now the nice thing about your paper storage box, if you take it, is that you can set it on your desktop to work with it, or you can leave it just in your tote next to your chair where you can reach down in and pull those things out if you're leaving your tote open like this. If you're using a scrap rack though, what you're going to want to do is pack your scrap rack inside your tote and then put the lid back on it when you get there, when you get to your event. And put your scrap rack on top of the tote next to your chair so you have everything at your fingertips. It's easy to flip through things. It's really easy to work with stuff and then put the things away that you didn't use. Really easy to put them back because you know exactly where they're going to go by embellishment, by color, by theme, whatever it is, right? If you like to take a lot of other products with you, this type of product, now I'm just going to recommend, obviously, you have a tool tote. If you're using our apron, you have some tool storage on the front of the apron as well. And then if you need to take a ton of other things, you can pack those other products up. You know, if you're a ribbon junkie or you know that you love to use glitter glues and you're going to use them on everything, maybe you have pens. But the nice thing about something like this, and think about this as you're choosing tools, as you're packing up, is you don't have a lot of space around on your desktop or around you. So if you can consolidate your space around your chair with items that you can reach in and out of, so even if you have this sitting on the floor next to your chair and you might have your, you know, you've got all of your Mexico stuff in there, so you're able to just reach down into that and pull it out and drop it back in, but you're not covering your whole tabletop with things. And this is true at home as well, right? You want to have the things close to you that you can pull them out and put them back. You don't want to dig and search for them. So the easier you can make it to find exactly what you're working with, paints, or maybe even, so these are just mini alphabet stamps, but they come in and out of your tote while you're working. It's going to be hard for you to see this because of the way everything's set up here. So you can see everything's at my fingertips here, right? If I've got another tote at my chair where I can pull things in and out vertically, right? I don't have to spend as much time digging and searching through piles of things or boxes that are loaded up with supplies. So think about that, right? Even if I've got this paper next to me. So now in my chair, I'm surrounded by inks and chalks and pens and paper, but I've got my space in front of me all clear and ready to go. So as you're choosing tools and loading up and getting ready to go to an event, think about that space that you have at the event and how you're best going to be able to use that space to really maximize your work and make it simple. You want it to be as least frustrating as possible. Is that good English? I'm not sure. All right, so that's what I do when I go. I take as little stuff as I can. If I'm just going to a small event, I'm going to take this and this. If I'm going to for an overnight or a couple of days, I might load up a whole scrap rack. I might take, I have a spare scrap rack. I know that's amazing to all of you. So I have one that stays in my crop tote, and then I might take 2 spinders or 3 spinders or 5 or 7, depending on how I'm going to be there and what I'm working on. But remember, the more focused you can stay on what you're doing, the more you're going to get done when you're at that event. So if getting a lot done is your goal, you really want to plan ahead. All right, so this week's challenge, well, I'm going to take a little side note and bring up something that I didn't talk about before. I found these when I was cleaning out the back room and realized I hadn't talked about them when I was during the course of the challenge. So these are some ideas that I found in magazines, and they used to be right in my scrap rack, and then I pulled them out to share with people about how I did this. So what you can see, I have big writing on the pen right here. I wasn't about the heart. That wasn't what was interesting to me about this. It was just the idea of using a variety of things to make a simple shape. So this has buttons and stickers and butterflies and baker's twine and eyelets and all kinds of goodies that make up this heart shape, right? So this is going to go, or would normally have gone, in the front of my rainbow section, right? I would have this whole little section of things that I had pulled out of magazines or printed off the internet, ideas that I didn't want to forget that I could incorporate right in to different sections. So you might want to create a section in your scrap rack or in your storage system that's just for design ideas, things that you can print off the internet or that you get. I get another thing in the mail called the Michigan Scrapbooker, and it always has great ideas in it. If you're still getting any of the scrapbook magazines that are out there, and I think most of them now come from the UK, we're kind of limited on ours here, but just all kinds of different, like I liked the way this one was shaped. So creating those design ideas and leaving a note. This is called Tool School. It's an advertisement from We Are, but it's also a lesson in how to use that particular tool. And I thought that was a great, not only is it an advertisement for them, but it was great for me to have in my little design notebook, and that reminded me I had that tool and here's some ideas for using it. So you can do this physically, or like what I've done, ripping them out, or you can do the same thing digitally, just on a document or a OneNote notebook, or what's the other one, the green one with the elephant, on Evernote, where you can store those ideas. So just a little thing I just wanted to share with you, so that you could have your design ideas or tool use or how tools are used or something. So a little side note. All right, let's get back to this week's challenge. Okay, so your first part of the challenge is to find the tote that you want to use for the to go to crops and classes. Make it exclusive to that if it's possible. There's some things that you can leave loaded up in your tote all the time, right? A lot of us have multiple paper trimmers. One of them goes with us to crops, one of them stays at the house. So that can stay in there, or if you have particular tools or 2 sets of tools. I happen to have 2 sets of distressing tools from Basic Gray, so one of those always stays in my tote. I have some duplicate rulers and those kind of things. So if you can leave some things in there that you're always going to take, that are always going to be on your list, that makes it a little bit easier. So the next thing you're going to do is create that crop list. These are my must-haves. These are the things I need with me when I go to a crop. And even if you're not planning on going to a crop or class right now, as you're working on your next project, just start a little note off to the side that says I use my paper trimmer, I'm using my Crop-A-Dial, I use all these things that you can so you can start forming your list. These are the things I use all the time, and when you're ready to go to a crop, you won't have to dream everything up or start everything up from scratch because you've written down what you've used on a regular basis. Keep that list in your tote so that when you write things on it at a crop or event, you can leave it in the tote, and the next time you go to an event, you'll be able to pull it out and update the list, right? So just keep it right there in your tote so it's ready to go. If you're really organized and you get back from the crop and put everything away, and then you could update your list at the same time, but still, even if you update that list, print a copy and put it in the tote so that you remember that you've got it. All right. And then your last step is to decide how much are you really going to do at a crop, right? And sometimes you have to go to a crop to figure that out, and say, okay, so keep a note at that crop or event. Yes, I got 12 pages done. I average a page an hour. Once your brain knows what you're capable of doing, it can either push you to do a little bit more, or it can settle in on that and really help you to define what you're going to take with you, right? If you have to guess at what you're going to do at an event, you're probably not going to be nearly as efficient as if you had paid attention at the last event. So keep that in mind. Even when you're crafting at home, how long does it take me to create a card? How long does it take me to create a page or that mixed media project? And then when you plan for the next crop, you'll know how much you can get done at that event, and so you'll take what's really appropriate to take with you to that event. All right, so those are my big tips and clues for getting organized. So, and being really efficient at a crop class or event. Have a dedicated crop tote. Have that list of all the things that you need to take with you. When you're packing, pack in reverse. And then be aware of what you can, what's reasonable for you to accomplish in the amount of time that you've got. And remember that you are going to eat and you are going to sleep and maybe shower and maybe do a little shopping too while you're at that event. So I hope this helps you prepare and plan for your next crop class or event. Thanks so much for joining me for the Get Organized Challenge Summer 2015, and I look forward to seeing all of you again when we start the Fall Challenge in September. Have a great day.